you please put your hands together for James?
My name's James, and today I'm going to be talking about the promises and pitfalls of AI. So if you're interested in ChatGPT, you're in luck. So I thought I'd quickly show this slide because tonight we're going to be talking about the impact of technology on education. So these are some of the big milestones over the years. And of course, today we're talking about AI, and in particular, we're talking about ChatGPT. So what can AI actually do today? So today, AI can generate human-like text. So this is what ChatGPT does. It can write software programs. So it can write the programs that you use on your phone or your computer. And it can create brand new images and videos from scratch. It can do lots of other things as well. So this all sounds pretty awesome, and in part it is, but there are some limitations and some pitfalls with this. So here's an example that I got from ChatGPT. Some of you sounded like we're familiar with it, but some of you, this might be an introduction. So I asked, what makes a good tech talk? And it responded with, a good tech talk is clear, concise, relevant, interesting to the audience. It uses visual aids, demonstrations, storytelling, engagement, and requires practice and preparation. So to me, that sounds pretty good. It sounds coherent. It sounds like a human wrote it. Useful. So I'd say it's at a pretty good level. So in education, this has potential to be impactful. For example, it's available free, so students can just go online and start asking prompts. You can also pay for it if you like. So potentially this can have an impact on education. Students could use it to write essays. They could use it to do technical reports. They could use it for online tests. In COVID, there were a lot of online tests. So this raises some academic integrity concerns. Another thing that ChatGPT can do is it can also generate software code. So here I asked it to generate a snake game. So this is the game we all used to have on our phones, written in a language called Python, and it pretty quickly will generate this. And so it generated about 100 lines of code. I took it and I compiled it and I ran it, and it works. It, makes something that we would all recognize as snake. So again, here, this introduces the possibility of, academic integrity concerns. If a student is just asking ChatGPT to write their coding assignment, are they actually learning something? Okay, the last example I have is a tool called Dolly. So this is actually from the same people who make ChatGPT, and here they're generating images from text descriptions. So here the example is an illustration of a baby lemur in a tutu walking a dog, and it generates a completely brand new image of something we would all think of, when we hear that description. So it's obviously understanding something that description and generating an image that we would recognize. Okay, so I'm a new teacher at the University of Auckland, and so I'm interested in this question. So can ChatGPT actually write a university level assignment? So in my class this semester, the class of about 70 people, I got them to use ChatGPT to write an essay. And then I got them to reflect on this essay. So an essay on inclusive software. So I asked them to think about these questions. Does it write like a human? Is the information that it generates accurate? And would you submit this essay? Like, is it up to your level? These are fourth year software engineering students. They're pretty good students. Is it writing something that they'd be happy with? So in terms of does it write like a human, pretty much all of the class were on board with, yes, it's doing something pretty cool and pretty coherent. So one of the students said, the article is extremely convincing, it flows smoothly and keeps the users engaged. So a pretty good recommendation. And this was pretty widespread across everyone. Okay, in terms of accurate information, some students thought that the information was accurate. However, others raised concerns. So for example, one student said, in order to fit the prompt, it generated inaccurate information. So this was a kind of a general concern that ChatGPT seemed more concerned with matching the prompt of the user than producing an article that was really accurate. I know that more recent ChatGPT-4 has been released, and I've heard this has some better accuracy performance. So yeah, maybe improving in that respect. So the final question, would you submit the generated article? So basically, is this up to the level that you would expect for yourself? You know, these students are in their 4th year, they're almost going to graduate. You know, is it up to that level that they'd expect? Some said yes, so that's a pretty good or scary endorsement, saying that, you know, ChatGPT is doing something that they would feel happy with themselves. However, a lot of students raise concerns. So one student said, ChatGPT is a powerful tool, but you must be aware of its strengths and limitations. Their output should be thoroughly checked for accuracy. So while most people are saying yes, it's saying something very convincing, sometimes the information it's using to convince the reader may not be accurate. So, you know, obviously in a university setting, you can be convincing as you like, but if you're using fake examples, you're not going to get a very good mark. Okay, and looking at their website, so OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, have this disclaimer that it may occasionally generate inaccurate information. So, you know, think along the same lines as the students. Okay, so that leads me into the final part of my talk today, which is the pitfalls of AI. So I thought to start this, I would talk quickly about something called machine learning. So machine learning is a type of AI, and it's what a lot of these big, cool software systems like ChatGPT are doing. So machine learning, the paradigm here is that the software system learns through examples. So for example, I've got something here called Applebot. And so Applebot's job is to look at an image and to say whether the image contains an apple or doesn't contain an apple. And the way that you would train Applebot is you would show it probably thousands of examples with labels. And the labels are what you want the output to be when it sees those images. So in the first stage, you train it, and then at operation, when it sees a brand new image, hopefully it'll be able to say, yes, this image contains an apple, or no, it doesn't. So this may seem like kind of a trivial problem, but actually, if you were going to manually code an image classification to recognize a new picture and see if it was an apple, it's actually really, really hard to do. And so this paradigm shift of training AI through machine learning and examples actually lets us build some really amazing systems that we haven't been able to build before, like ChatGPT. However, this comes with some challenges and some problems. For example, you know, if we think about our Applebot, we can see that it's doing something useful. It can recognize an apple in an image, but we don't exactly understand how it knows what it knows because it's being trained from examples and it represents the data in a way that we can't easily directly understand. So this has some challenges in that the behavior can be difficult to predict sometimes if it sees new inputs, and it can also amplify real-world bias based on the data it sees. So here's an example of some real-world bias. So this is Google Translate. This is a big, popular machine learning system. And so here I input a sentence, she is an engineer. Then I translate it into Finnish, which is a gender-neutral language. And then I translate it back to English. And so the really problematic thing here is that Google Translate is switching the pronoun from she is an engineer into he is an engineer. You can see it does this for the other examples as well. She runs a company, it changes to he runs a company, and it will also change he is a caregiver into she is a caregiver. So it obviously has this kind of gender bias built in. And because it's a machine learning system, it's not as though anyone explicitly programmed to do it like this. It's amplifying the bias that it saw in its training data. So, you know, a big language model like this probably trained on online text like Wikipedia. And so it's seeing these kind of gender stereotypes in the data and it's amplifying it. And this isn't an old problem. I did this 2 days ago, so you'll be able to go and do this yourself. Okay, so I thought I'd finish the talk by coming back to this question. Will AI impact education? I think the answer is almost certainly yes. However, it still has limitations and shortcomings. There's bias in it, but I think these systems are only going to get better, so I think the impact's only going to grow as well. I thought I'd quickly finish. I'm a big podcast guy. So if you're interested in this topic, there's this podcast called the Lex Friedman Podcast, and he interviewed the CEO of the company who makes ChatGPT. And I thought it was a really cool interview. So if you're interested in this topic, check that out. Great, thank you.